Luxury cars are built to impress, combining breathtaking design, unmatched performance, and cutting-edge technology. Yet sometimes automakers go overboard, packing in features that sound revolutionary but turn out to be more of a gimmick than a true necessity. And today we are diving deep into the most useless features in luxury cars. Those little touches that make you wonder whether engineers and designers were trying to solve real-world problems or simply competing in an arms race of extravagance. Because while some of these additions might make for flashy marketing or jaw-dropping showroom demos, in real life they are rarely used, often frustrating, and occasionally downright ridiculous. Let's start with gesture controls, a feature that several brands like BMW and Mercedes-Benz touted as the future of in-car interaction. The idea being that instead of pressing a button or touching a screen, you could simply wave your hand in the air to adjust the volume, skip tracks, or answer a call. And while it looks futuristic when demonstrated by a salesperson, in practice it often misreads your intentions, leaving drivers struggling to turn the volume down while the system mistakenly interprets random hand movements as commands. Not to mention that reaching over to twist a knob or tap the touchscreen is usually faster, simpler, and far less embarrassing. And speaking of over-the-top gimmicks, let's not forget built-in perfume dispensers, a feature that luxury automakers like Mercedes-Maybach and BMW have introduced in high-end models, allowing you to insert branded fragrance cartridges that supposedly enhance the ambience of the cabin. But ask yourself honestly, how often do drivers actually replace or use these? Especially considering the fact that you can just buy an air freshener or bring your favorite cologne. And yet car companies market this as an innovation worth paying thousands extra for, which makes it one of the most unnecessary luxuries of all time. Now moving on to refrigerated glove boxes. While the concept of having chilled drinks on the go sounds convenient, the reality is that the glove box is so small and awkwardly shaped that you can barely fit a can of soda or a tiny water bottle, and even then it cools so slowly that by the time your drink is ready you're probably already home, making this feature less of a convenience and more of a conversation piece that never gets used. And the same could be said for champagne chillers in cars, like the Rolls-Royce Phantom or Bentley Mulsanne, which come with custom crystal flutes. Because realistically, how many people are actually popping champagne in the back of a moving car? And even if they are, isn't that both impractical and unsafe? Continuing with the theme of indulgence, let's discuss umbrella holders built into the doors. Rolls-Royce is famous for this, presenting it as the ultimate sign of thoughtfulness. But let's be honest, most owners already have their own umbrellas. And very few remember to actually keep the car's umbrella inside, which means it just becomes a rarely used slot in the door that feels more like a marketing gimmick than a genuine lifesaver. Plus, considering how many luxury car buyers have drivers or attendants, the odds of them personally needing to pull out a hidden umbrella are slim. And then we have the famous Starry headliner, pioneered by Rolls-Royce, where the roof is filled with fiber optic lights that mimic a night sky. It looks magical the first time you see it, but after a while it's just a fancy overhead light that you don't even notice when driving, and since it can add tens of thousands of dollars to the car's price, it's hard not to see it as an overpriced indulgence that has little practical value. The same goes for the Swarovski crystal accents found in some BMW models, such as the gear shifter, iDrive controller, and start/stop button. While it might look flashy under the showroom lights, in real use it adds no functionality whatsoever and can even get smudged or scratched, turning an expensive wow factor into just another fragile surface to maintain. Moving deeper into absurdity, let's not ignore built-in watches in luxury cars. High-end models from brands like Bentley or Bugatti sometimes include mechanical clocks designed by Swiss watchmakers like Breitling or Parmigiani, and while they are marvels of craftsmanship, one has to question why anyone would need a mechanical timepiece mounted in their dashboard when digital clocks, smartphones, and even smartwatches exist. And if you're really spending millions on a luxury watch on your wrist already, making the dashboard one redundant. And speaking of redundancy, some cars come with touchscreens for the rear seat passengers to control seat settings, lighting, and entertainment. Yet in many cases these are clunky, slow, and only replicate controls that could be handled by simple buttons, which means the technology actually adds complexity without adding any real value. But perhaps one of the strangest features of all is the built-in dustbuster vacuum cleaner, seen in vehicles like the Honda Odyssey and even offered as a quirky extra in some premium SUVs. The logic being that luxury car owners care so much about cleanliness that they want to vacuum their car instantly. But given the small size and limited suction power of these vacuums, plus the fact that most people already have a proper household vacuum, it quickly becomes a gimmick that rarely gets touched, and in some cases doesn't even reach the far corners of the vehicle. Moving on to another questionable invention, some high-end luxury cars offer special driving modes that sound impressive but don't really change the experience, like Ego Mode in Lamborghini, which lets you customize steering, suspension, and throttle independently. But given that most drivers never fiddle with these settings beyond choosing sport or comfort, it feels like unnecessary over-engineering. Or consider wellness programs in Mercedes models that combine seat massage, fragrance diffusion, music, and ambient lighting to supposedly improve your mood, which might sound like a spa on wheels, but in real-world driving situations, most owners rarely bother to set it up, turning it into one more unused feature. And while we're on the subject of massaging seats, while they can be nice on long trips, the reality is that many implementations are underwhelming, offering weak vibrations rather than a true massage, making them more of a novelty than a real health benefit. And when you're paying extra thousands for such an option, it's hard to justify. Then there's the obsession with self-parking systems, which are supposed to eliminate the stress of parallel parking, but in reality, most drivers either don't trust the system or find it too slow, preferring to park manually, and even when it works, it often leaves the car awkwardly positioned, proving that sometimes human skill still outperforms supposed high-tech automation. And perhaps one of the quirkiest but least used features ever put in a car is night vision cameras, a tech that luxury brands like BMW and Mercedes promoted heavily, showing thermal imaging of animals or pedestrians ahead, yet in practice it's distracting, adds little to actual driving safety, and most owners forget it even exists, especially when headlights and sensors already do a better job. And the list goes on with things like electronic scent diffusers, key fobs that double as tiny screens, doors that close themselves with the lightest touch, tailgate-mounted picnic benches, infotainment systems with games you'll never play, or voice assistants that still can't recognize half of your commands, all of which prove that the race for luxury isn't always about creating something useful but about standing out with features that grab attention, even if they fade into irrelevance after the novelty wears off. And the irony is that while these useless features often add tens of thousands to the sticker price, the features that actually matter, like reliability, fuel efficiency, ride comfort, and intuitive design, sometimes get overlooked, reminding us that luxury doesn't always mean practical, and practicality doesn't always mean luxury, which is why the most useless features in luxury cars continue to fascinate us, because they reveal how far automakers will go to outdo each other in a battle of excess, leaving us with cars that might smell like designer perfume, have a ceiling full of fake stars, and carry an umbrella in the door, but still can't avoid potholes, fix their own complex software glitches, or justify their astronomical price tags in terms of everyday usability.